Those who today inaugurate this movement are unlikely to live to see its glorious title page of Der Judenstate, 1896. Title page of Alt Newland, 1902. Culmination. But the very inauguration is enough to inspire in them a high pride and the joy of an inner liberation of their existence. The plan would seem mad enough if a single individual were to undertake it. But if many Jews simultaneously agree on it, it is entirely reasonable, and its achievement presents no difficulties worth mentioning. The idea depends only on the number of its adherents. Perhaps our ambitious young men, to whom every road of advancement is now closed, and for whom the Jewish state throws open a bright prospect of freedom, happiness, and honor, perhaps they will see to it that this idea is spread. It depends on the Jews themselves whether this political document remains for the present a political romance. If this generation is too dull to understand it rightly, a future, finer, more advanced generation will arise to comprehend it. The Jews who will try it shall achieve their state, and they will deserve it. I consider the Jewish question neither a social nor a religious one, even though it sometimes takes these and of the forms. It is a national question, and to solve it we must first of all establish it as an international political problem to be discussed and settled by the civilized nations of the world in council. We are a people, one people. We have sincerely tried everywhere to merge with the national communities in which we live, seeking only to preserve the faith of our fathers. It is not permitted us. In vain are we loyal patriots, sometimes super loyal. In vain do we make the same sacrifices of life and property as our fellow citizens. In vain do we strive to enhance the fame of our native lands in the arts and sciences, or her wealth by trade and commerce. In our native lands where we have lived for centuries we are still decried as aliens, often by men whose ancestors had not yet come at a time when Jewish sighs had long been heard in the country. Oppression and persecution cannot exterminate us. No nation on earth has endured such struggles and sufferings as we have. Jew-baiting has merely winnowed out our weaklings. The strong among us defiantly return to their own whenever persecution breaks out. Wherever we remain politically secure for any length of time, we assimilate. I think this is not praiseworthy. Israel is our unforgettable historic homeland. Let me repeat once more my opening words. The Jews who will it shall achieve their state. We shall live at last as free men on our own soil, and in our own homes peacefully die. The old will be liberated by our freedom, enriched by our wealth, magnified by our greatness. And whatever we attempt there for our own benefit will redound mightily and beneficially to the good of all mankind. 105. His last literary work, Old Newland, in English, The Old New Land, 1902, is a novel devoted to Zionism. Herzl occupied his free time for 3 years in writing what he believed might be accomplished by 1923. Though the form is that of a romance, it is less a novel than a serious forecast of what could be done within a generation. The keynotes of the story are love of Zion and insistence upon the fact that the suggested changes in life are not utopian but to be brought about simply by grouping all the best efforts and ideals of every race and nation. Each such effort is quoted and referred to in such a manner as to show that Old Newland, though blossoming through the skill of the Jew, will in reality be the product of the benevolent efforts of all the members of the human family. Herzl envisioned a Jewish state that combined modern Jewish culture with the best of the European heritage. Thus a palace of peace would be built in Jerusalem to arbitrate international disputes, and at the same time the temple would be rebuilt on modern principles. Herzl did not envision the Jewish inhabitants of the state as being religious, but there was respect for religion in the public sphere. He also assumed that many languages would be spoken, and that Hebrew would not be the main tongue. Proponents of a Jewish cultural rebirth, such as Ahad Ha'am, were critical of Old Newland. In Old Newland, Herzl did not foresee any conflict between Jews and Arabs. One of the main characters in Old Newland is a Haifa engineer, Rashid Bey, who is one of the leaders of the new society. He is very grateful to his Jewish neighbors for improving the economic condition of Israel and sees no cause for conflict. All non-Jews have equal rights, and an attempt by a fanatical rabbi to disenfranchise the non-Jewish citizens of their rights fails in the election, which is the center of the main political plot of Theodor. 106. Herzl also envisioned the future Jewish state to be a third way between capitalism and socialism, with a developed welfare program and public ownership of the main natural resources. Industry, agriculture and trade were organized on a cooperative basis. Along with many other progressive Jews of the day, such as Emil Lazarus, Louis Brandeis, Albert Einstein, and Franz Oppenheimer, Herzl desired to enact the land reforms proposed by the American political economist Henry George. Specifically, they called for a land value tax. 107. He called his mixed economic model mutualism, a term derived from French utopian socialist thinking. Women would have equal voting rights as they had in the Zionist movement from the Second Zionist Congress onwards. In Old Newland, Herzl outlined his vision for a new Jewish state in the land of Israel. He summed up his vision of an open society. It is founded on the ideas which are a common product of all civilized nations. It would be moral if we would exclude anyone, whatever his origin, his descent, or his religion, from participating in our achievements. For we stand on the shoulders of other civilized peoples. What we owe to the preparatory work of other peoples. Therefore, we have to repay our debt. There is only one way to do it, the highest tolerance. Our motto must therefore be now and ever, man, you are my brother. 108. If you will it is no dream. A phrase from Herzl's book Old New Land became a popular slogan of the Zionist movement, the striving for a Jewish national home in Israel. 109. In his novel, Herzl wrote about an electoral campaign in the new state. He directed his wrath against the Nationalist Party, which wished to make the Jews a privileged class in Israel. Herzl regarded that as a betrayal of Zion, for Zion was identical to him with humanitarianism and tolerance, and that this was true in politics as well as religion. Herzl wrote matters of faith were once and for all excluded from public influence. Whether any such religious devotion in the synagogue, in the church, in the mosque, in the art museum, or in a philharmonic concert, did not concern society. That was his own private affair. 108. Old Newland was written both for Jews and non-Jews. Herzl wanted to win over non-Jewish opinion for Zionism. 110. When he was still thinking of Argentina as a possible venue for massive Jewish immigration, he wrote in his diary, when we occupy the land, we shall bring immediate benefits to the state that receives us. We must expropriate gently the private property on the estates assigned to us. We shall try to spirit a penniless population across the border by procuring employment for it in the transit countries, while denying it any employment in our country. The property owners will come over to our side. Both the process of expropriation and the removal of the poor must be carried out discreetly and circumspectly. It goes without saying that we shall respectfully tolerate persons of other faiths and protect their property, their honor, and their freedom with the harshest means of coercion. This is another area in which we shall set the entire world a wonderful example. Should there be many such immovable owners in individual areas, how would not sell their property to us? We shall simply leave them there and develop our commerce in the direction of other areas which belong to us. 111. Herzl's draft of a charter for a Jewish Ottoman land company, JOG, gave the JOG the right to obtain land in Israel by giving its owners comparable land elsewhere in the Ottoman Empire. The name Tel Aviv was the title given to the Hebrew translation of Old Newland by the translator, Nahum Sokolow. This name comes from Ezekiel 3:15 and means tell an ancient mound formed when a town is built on its own debris for thousands of years of spring. The name was later applied to the new town built outside Jaffa that became Tel Aviv-Yafo, the second largest city in Israel. The nearby city to the north, Holiah, was named in honor of Herzl. Published works. Books. The Jewish State, Der Judenstate, 1896, full text online. Stephen Norman Garden Marker at Mount Herz in Jerusalem, the Old New Land, Old Newland, 1902. Hazena, 1881, 112. Plays. 113, 114, Compagnia Beat, Comedy in One Act, Vienna 1880. Die Korse Hirschken, Comedy in One Act, Vienna 1882. Tabarin, Comedy in One Act, Vienna 1884. Mutasonchin, in 4 acts, Vienna 1885, later Ostoben by H. Jungmann. Sein Hoheit, Comedy in 3 acts, Vienna 1885. Der Flugling, Comedy in 1 act, Vienna 1887. Wildiv, Comedy in 4 acts, in co-authorship with H. Whitman, Vienna 1888. Was Wordman Sagen, Comedy in 4 acts, Vienna 1890. Die Damon Schwartz, Comedy in 4 acts, in co-authorship with H. Whitman, Vienna 1890. Prinzene US Ginaland, Comedy in 4 acts, Vienna 1891. Die Glossy, Comedy in 1 act, Vienna 1895. Das Neue Ghetto, Drama in 4 acts, Vienna 1898. Herz's only play with Jewish characters. 114, translated as The New Ghetto by Heinz Norden, New York 1955. Answer Kachen, Comedy in 4 acts, Vienna 1899. Gretel, Comedy in 4 acts, Vienna 1899. I Love You, Comedy in 1 act, Vienna 1900. Solan in Lydian, Drama in 3 acts, Vienna 1905. Other. Herz, Theodor. Theodor Herz, excerpts from his diaries, 2006. Excerpt and text search archive, the 8th of July 2014 at the Wayback Machine. Herz, Theodor. Philosophische Philosophical Stories, 1900, ed. by Carsten Schmidt. New ed. Lexicus Papal. 2011, ISBN 978-3-940206-29-9. Herz, Theodor, 1922. Theodor Herzl's Tijebuka, 1895-1904, Volume 1. Herz, Theodor, 1922.
Yes. So I have to look for links, but I have to watch the late Danish evening news. I have it open here. I have to look links there, but now I will stop the video. But it will take many weeks and months and read about this. So I have to think next I will read about Judaism and Israel. So yes, but later I will get a better camcorder. I could read like 10 hours every day, and I'm sorry for the noise. This computer, 6 years old, make a lot of noise here, I know that. But I have $1,000 credit card debt every month. I have a low pension. And after my rent apartment and bills, I have to pay $1,000 to my credit card debt. That's what I'm trying to lower. I have to lower my debt to 0. But let's stop the video.